Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency update. Be sure to watch until the end of this video and let's get right in the information today. Again, none of this is financial advice. Always do your own research, and without further ado. So I did a recent video on this going over again ACI worldwide. I want to show this clip again. If you've already seen it, go ahead and fast forward 2 minutes. This is dealing with, of course, the RTP, the Real-Time Payments Initiative. So before I preface and show this and what this gentleman says, based off of the math that he says, they are transacting $5 million as fast as you can, snap your fingers together. Now, $14 trillion per day is what ACI settles. We know that they handle approximately 9% of Swift's network volume. So if you do 14 trillion divided by the number of seconds in a day, that's roughly well over $160 million per second. And yes, they are directly integrated with RippleNet. Now, that does not mean that they're using XRP or are even going to use XRP, but what I want to show you is that chance of interoperability between these ecosystems. So just to kind of preface, again, greater than 6,000 organizations around the world. Again, over 1,000 largest financial institutions and intermediaries, and $14 trillion in payments and securities daily. Now, what's interesting is they're actually getting their payments down to 12 seconds rather than 3 days. Sure sounds very, very familiar. And again, if they're just going to use some type of centralized database, well, they have a bunch of not only intermediaries and institutions, but then there lies the issue of trust. So that is where an agnostic bridge asset and even a protocol come into play. And that is why I am bullish, and I do think that obviously XRP and other ecosystems could be involved here. So again, it does not guarantee anything. This is not hype. I'm simply connecting the dots and showing you what we already know. Now, before I show this clip, because obviously this is, a very, very interesting clip, we know a few things with ACI worldwide in particular. We know with the clearinghouse, this initiative, we can tie them with Finastra, which is another RippleNet partner. We don't even have to look at the participants. Obviously, you can, see who specifically is RippleNet here: HSBC, BNY, Bank of America, pretty, obviously right in front of us. But with technology providers, we know RippleNet enabled. We have Finastra, that's 9,000 clients. FIS, again, we can tie them in with WorldPay and Amazon Pay directly. All RippleNet, by the way. Bottom line, ACI worldwide, Volante, again, with Volpay directly enabling XRP, even with, the UK's real-time gross settlement system. So again, a lot of dots are being connected. As always, you're sick of it. XRP's at 20 cents, not even at all-time highs. I get it, but I'm just showing you these nascent technologies and where the connectivity lies. All right, so technology provider, we know Finastra, and again, Darren Moore showed this a long time ago, I think with a few researchers showing, again, their payment platform, Global Pay Plus, integrated directly with RippleNet. It just keeps going. King Solomon going over depth and detail again, and he's found this a long time ago with TCS and, Tata Consultancy. Massive behemoth, 25% of the global population. Again, RippleNet enabled. It just kind of makes you go, So I'm going to show you this clip and then I'll continue this rant. So again, I did this video back on May 22nd. Pay close attention to what this gentleman says. Again, this is Craig Ramsey. This was uploaded on July 4th, 2018. So it has been 2 years, just so you know. But just pay attention to these real-time payment schemes. Again, as you can see right here, they're going over this slide.
Targeted at taking away transaction settlement cycles from being 3 days to move a transaction to a customer, or indeed a business to a customer, and to actually enable real-time payments so that they would happen within 12 seconds. Today, we process around about 1.6 billion transactions a year in faster payments, but it is by far the largest real-time payment scheme anywhere in the world. Talking of billions, just one thing to note, ACI does about 1 billion transactions every day. And in financial sense, because of the huge dominance that we have within processing of high-value payments and SWIFT payments generally, we actually process in excess of $14 trillion every day.
Just as the website says right here, again, 14 trillion per day. This is on just ACIworldwide.com, and you can just kind of scroll down. And again, Universal Payments, their initiative, is something that you have to keep an eye on. Again, Damor Sahami sending me DMs and great information all the time. I thank you, sir. One of the original guys from Love for Crypto and that crew. All right?
Which is, if you want to click your fingers, that's equivalent to about $5 million every time you can click your fingers, as fast as you can click your fingers.
And that's on the conservative side, because obviously if you take the number of seconds in a day and kind of do the math and break it down between 14 trillion, that is over 160 million per second. So if you want to be really conservative and say, 5 million every time you can click your fingers, snap your fingers, so be it. Regardless, that is millions of dollars of transactions, high volume, I'd assume high payments with these groups as well.
So moving money fast, moving money securely is something that we have done for a long, long time. The map I've got up on slide at the moment just represents where real-time payments is happening around the world. You can see a very obvious highlight on Saudi Arabia, where there is obviously expected announcements related to the future-ready ACH from SAMA sometime soon, hopefully very soon. And that will kickstart a movement in the Middle East to see more real-time schemes. We've heard, as ACI has talked to our customers around the Middle East, we're seeing countries keen to see how things are going in Saudi Arabia, and indeed keen to be fast followers of this technology.
All right, now we can consider, the positive news that we've seen about Brad Garlinghouse in the Middle East. You can consider even BRICS and straying away from the US dollar denomination. Guys, when you tie in the information we had years ago and apply it today, it really does show you some strong fundamentals and use cases for XRP. All right, just to consider that. And again, guys, I am bullish on all cryptocurrency that solves a real purpose. I want the whole ecosystem to, obviously survive and thrive. All altcoins, Bitcoin, I wish all of you luck. I'm just saying from a fundamental perspective, to completely discredit XRP, I think that is rather ignorant. Whether you believe it's 50 cents, $1, $10, $1,000 per XRP in the future, I don't care. It's completely up to you. We can all have different opinions. At the end of the day, what will happen is going to happen. My opinions do not matter. Anybody can start a YouTube channel and rant about this nonsense. I get it, but I truly enjoy this, and I see a future in benefits in distributed ledger technology, not only blockchain. And I think that we can see that obviously it will not only, revolutionize the way finance is done, but record keeping, trust, resiliency, you name it. I think this is simply the future, and this is going to be one of the many big technologies that are coming upon us in this next decade. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take a decade for XRP to do well. We're going to have speculative bull runs. We're going to have utility. I personally am very bullish for end of year based off of TA, but based off of fundamentals, not even related to conspiracies, guys. Just from a fundamental perspective, I see a great future in this asset class. Now, again, be smart. I only invest what I'm willing to lose. Nothing is guaranteed. All right. So obviously try to stay level headed and be logical in a very illogical market. Something to consider is this. If Bitcoin or any other altcoin for that matter was integrated with any of these companies, I think we can agree that the Bitcoin community, the YouTubers, they would go nuts. And again, nobody bats an eye when XRP, they call it the banker's coin, centralized. They don't understand that the internet was adopted the same manner from kind of the top-down approach rather than Bitcoin going retail up into banks and institutions and universities. No, that to me, that's just not how things are done. XRP is integrated directly with hundreds of customers, 350 to 400, depending on Ripple's recent announcements. And then if you go indirectly, if not thousands, if you do consider groups like Tata, Finastra, ACI Worldwide, Earthport, which is acquired by Visa. And again, Visa and Ripple say they have the same throughput. Again, there's payment channels, there's differences on the XRP ledger. I get that, but I just want to kind of show and connect the dots. We can talk about Temenos. We can talk about Task Group connected directly to Target 2 securities in the Euro system, which is again, just based off of the order books that even Michael Zischek showed on his spreadsheet. That's what was it, $5 or $50 million of transactions every 30 seconds? I mean, add that on top of ACI, add that onto all of these groups. And then people argue and they question, like I see people comment and they don't understand how price appreciates or how order books function and how obviously a highly liquid asset with tons of volume that is consistent or even growing and then higher value payments are going and creating that consistency. I don't care if there's 100 billion XRP, a million XRP, or 1 trillion as a finite supply. Again, it can't change now. Guys, there will be net overlap in the system, and that net overlap, what does that do? It reduces supply, even if it's by a minute amount, and it has this type of rippling effect within the order books. Time will simply tell, but obviously, I know what I've read, I know what I see, and you guys can decide for yourselves, all right? So, talked a little bit about ACI. Just another group to keep in mind. So every time you see ACI, doesn't mean it's all having to do with Ripple. Just know that the capabilities are there. All right. Talking about the Universal Payments Initiative. And this is not the only group. This is literally, again, 0.1% of this entire iceberg and picture. This is not something I'm relying on. Obviously, you can focus on Ripple building on-demand liquidity day in and day out. But you cannot ignore that these monsters are also acknowledging this ecosystem. All right. And again, we've tied ACI Worldwide directly to other DLT networks as well, so keep that in mind. All right. Recent news. So we have, again, just to tie it in together, so Vega Protocol, guys, a decentralized derivatives protocol. So we know back in, what year was this? It was a while back when Spring was kind of investing in the different DeFi platforms. And again, as they're building out their engineering team, Spring will continue to engage with DeFi teams, decentralized finance, and communities to support the future of DeFi, including the derivatives industry. They call it $1 trillion market. We know that obviously that new average that people say is, and this is, on an institutional level, they say roughly $700 trillion in this type of, derivatives market. Low end, you could say 500 trillion. High end, you could say 1.2, maybe 1.4 if you're stretching it for quadrillion. And again, these analysts say it's very intangible, so they kind of estimate in between that $700 trillion market, right? They're pleased to announce their investment in Vega Protocol. It's a protocol for creating and trading derivatives on a fully decentralized network. Now, one of the issues obviously is creating liquidity in this type of decentralized network, these decentralized exchanges. So it's designed to work with multiple currencies. Again, a level playing field. Spring is not just about pushing XRP use case. They are in tandem with Ripple and Interledger. They want to create everything to be agnostic, the protocols, the networks, you name it. So again, they're even backing all ERC20 tokens to be used as collateral, but the design enables it to interoperate with other assets and networks. So not only crypto assets, anything that's tokenized. To look at what Securitize is doing, again, Coinbase and Ripple invested with them. I just think that we're kind of seeing all these dots connecting, the chess pieces moving, and it's not all having to do with XRP, but in terms of crypto adoption, I believe that a lot of things are very, very positive, and at least the positive far outweighs the negative. And the only negative thing I see is price suppression for this asset class. Everything else from a fundamental level, maybe, stalling of regulations and clarity, that can be frustrating. But if you are truly doing your research and reading the fundamentals, what are you saying that's bad? That's all I want to emphasize. All right. So right here, again, Vega creates a novel path to disintermediate, again, disintermediation, getting rid of that intermediary liquidity on decentralized exchanges. This is a really well-written article. It's pretty long. Again, just a few quotes. I mean, I don't know if I want to waste your time going through this, but again, it is very, very good. Highly recommend looking this up. Again, this website is visionary-finance.com. You can literally just type this in. Highly recommend reading this if you have a second. All right. All right, next up, James Rule XRP just sharing this again, exclusive. This is on Reuters.com. Cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase readies the stock market listing. So again, tons of speculation about not only Coinbase going public, but even Ripple. And you know what other groups I'm watching as well to go public is groups like Circle, tying together, Jeremy, what is his last name, Allaire. Pay attention to these groups. I like a lot of crypto projects or anything that even groups like Arrington Capital are investing upon, and I always pay attention. Now, nobody knows everything, but from a fundamental perspective, I do like to stay nosy as well. I absolutely think that Coinbase and Circle should be going public as well. Whether it's end of this year or next year, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, pay close attention to this. Now, Coinbase, according to all of this as well, is valued at roughly $8 billion. They are a massive exchange. Ripple is valued at $10 billion. They are a unicorn as well. These groups, this is not just a tulip bubble. I just want to emphasize that. They have been having institutional use cases, DLT adoption, even tying back from RippleNet and the Global Payment Steering Group, testing with, the DTCC, just experiment. No, I didn't say Ripple. I'm just saying the DTCC experimenting with DLT and these networks and technologies for several years. Because there's a use case. There's, obviously resiliency and redundancy, potentially better scalability with certain centralized systems. I just think that the pros far outweigh the cons in this network. So pay close attention to that. All right. And then right here, I do want to pay just kind of note this because I thought this was cool. And someone was kind of chatting and had me kind of looking at this. So someone was kind of curious, how much cryptocurrency do exchanges actually hold when they run out? Do they have to go on the open market and purchase? You know, how does it function? Well, a little fun fact was back in January, Coinbase almost had 1 million Bitcoin. I have no idea what they hold today, but roughly 970,000 Bitcoin, guys. As of January 1st, that was $8 billion in valuation. That is unbelievable. Now, even Binance, right behind them, they said that they had total holdings roughly around, 250,000 coins, so 250,000 coins. Pretty crazy, guys, just to consider that in the number of, cryptocurrencies, tokens, and other asset classes that they are holding. Again, not your private keys, not your crypto. So if you have long-term holdings, if you're even investing, over, $100, $500, $1,000, $10,000, guys, store these off exchanges. Links for cryptocurrency cold wallets are in the video description, guys, just under Ledger. So highly recommend checking that out if you have not already done so. I'm sure many of you already have if you've been here for a few years at this point, but just wanted to point that out. All right, and to finish things off today, guys, we're going to talk about iTrust briefly. Again, if you have not created an account, and this only goes for people that were recently laid off with 401ks and they have that extra, side money that's trapped and locked up, or they have existing Roth IRAs, or they just want to create another Roth IRA as a hedge to this market, you can invest in crypto assets, XRP, of course, and even gold. Now, for all transparency, I did have a Roth IRA with another group a while back. It wasn't primarily XRP, and I rolled it over with iTrust Capital. No pun intended, but I do trust these guys. I know a few other YouTubers in the space work with them as well. They are pros. Blake, highly recommend you guys just use the video link in the description if you want to get in contact with them and you have any questions. For me, the process was pretty automated. I mailed in like 2 documents, and within 2 weeks, my account was funded and ready to go. Something to keep in mind, XRP, when it was at 17 cents, very few people take advantage of these opportunities. A mere move of 34 cents per XRP is a 100% return. Compare that to your stock market. Now, it might be silly to compare stocks now with all the quantitative easing. I know, 20% a year, anything like that was relatively good in the stock market. Now we're kind of spoiled and maybe used to 40% returns. But with crypto assets, this nascent asset class, even with gold, they are suppressed assets. I do see tremendous upside in the future. Not financial advice, of course, but if you guys follow this channel, you've watched the 450 plus videos, I think you can kind of, see what I'm getting at specifically. So again, I wish that I went with iTrust Capital way sooner. I'll talk about them more on this channel, but if you do want to, obviously create another hedge to this investment, create another nest egg, roll part of your 401k over if you're able to, or just roll an old Roth IRA that I had over, recommend at least exploring this possibility. They are levels ahead of many other groups at this time. I don't see any existing competition that even competes in terms of cost, fees, security, but who knows, anything's happening in this exciting space. Just wanted to point out a great service that I use. As always, I only recommend services on this channel that I back 100%. So with that, guys, I appreciate it. Shout out to my top channel members, Bmore1113, Lunar Phoenix, Jamie XRP, Crypto Beginner, Ken Melendez, and he has a great blog on Coil as well, by the way, XRP Holder 4, and XRP Life. I appreciate you guys, and until the next video, thanks.